1 Greetings to you. I will explain to you a side of the terrorist brain control gangs in Iraq, and I chose this aspect because I noticed that many victims or non-victims do not know anything about it and also give wrong ideas that are far from the truth, and the matter is referred to accounts that benefit terrorism. We can give a definition of the victims as selection of victims as fraud and fraudulently. They fell victim because of their theory, or they are fools, or they do not know anything about God and the difference between the power of God and the power of mankind, or they have fallen because of the methods of gangs that have professional causes of various kinds of lies, fraud and fraud. There are also reasons. Others have made them victims, which is that the gangs consider them a danger or want to destroy them. This is a set of true reasons that justify the occurrence of these victims. Of course, they are not distinguished or have talents and do not really unseen at all. The beginning, after the ran after a mirage, as if they were a donkey and a carrot, and they did not get anything and did not benefit anyone, or they thought they were in a sacred organization, and then they discovered that it was a gang, or they thought it was the holy spiritual voice of God, and then they knew that it was a lie, and all the sounds that were coming to them were brain control weapons systems or sound to the skull. Also knew that everyone who smiled at them or spoke about them well or noticed that there are people who run after them or want to talk to her, etc. All of them are not a coincidence, or that it is from God, but there are others who told them to do this, and it is funny that he himself will make them speak against her later. Here they notice that it is a fraud. 2 It is similar to the story of a stupid person who did not understand anything, but he was claiming to be an officer here. To him, they expelled him from this position. It is very funny that this idiot is very sad or wanted to remain in his position or begged for them to remain. Unfortunately, this situation can be seen now in this video clip, and she is a foolish victim who wants to stay, and we notice that he is going away from watching television thinking that this is the reason for his expulsion or the reason that his church does not want him.
Information as possible from your friends as well. They're going to try and talk about your church. They might whisper into your ear that your church doesn't want you anymore because we know what you did sort of 2 months back. We know that you did something unpleasant, that sort of thing. So this is quite an elaborate, it's quite a detailed information as possible from your friends as well. They're going to try and talk about your church. They might whisper into your ear that your church doesn't want you anymore because we know what you did sort of 2 months back. We know that you did something unpleasant, that sort of thing. So this is quite an elaborate, it's quite a detailed.
3 Now I am talking about another side, which is about these gangs, and I reveal to you that they say that they are an organization. Of course, the management office of this gang has many tricks. First, there is something called the bylaw in the organization, which means that every organization has the right to formulate its own laws. For example, laws and clauses belonging to them. This point I hope to focus on very much because they use it in order to make the victim become an offense or make it appear as if it is a policeman inside a police station talking against the director of the police or against his colleagues only. The most important way of belonging to them is that when you eat some bread, for example, or anything, or drink tea or even water, this is considered a trap for you and you were caught in it too. Any need also makes them belong to them, also to live with them, but even to go to them or talk to them are greetings and greetings. Also there is a very dirty game, and it is a question that is asked to you. 3 How old are you, or do you have a nationality, or what is your academic achievement, or do you have a salary or go, or where have you been, etc. All of them are very normal matters, but they have this is not normal, but it is their affiliation and justification for placing the spy device or brain control segment on the victim and giving him a number and is considered belonging to with them. Here I think that many of the victims were considered affiliated with them, although the victims will deny this, but if they know about these very dirty laws, which are all fraud, there is also something else I want to add, which may say some of the victims. 4 They did not eat anything or do not live with the gang and do not deal with them, but do you know that the victim's family were made members of the gang or represent it without the victims knowing about this too? People you know from friends and others. Here will be the victim eating, drinking, dwelling and dealing with them, as well as I said that most of the victims are the poor, the owners of a need, the fools, or the gang that hates them and wants to destroy them here. These are difficult for them to leave the house of their families because they have no money and they are forced to eat with them as well. This trick is used to turn the complaint against the victims by making them subordinate to them, making them lie, or making the case something like that the victim is an employee in a company or works in it and there are disagreements for him with colleagues in it only, or he has a position in it and there are those competing with him for the position this, or they are tests for him in order to know the management of the company, is he worthy of keeping the position that he has or not, etc. of the lies that this gang launches in order to cancel any complaint against them. Here you have something else, which is that the gang says that the victim works for them or belongs to them, and they give him a salary, but they do not say how much the salary is. I mean, I saw many victims and they are very poor. The gang lies and says that they have money and property.
Should you fulfill all of your obligations to me, the rewards, the riches will be great. You will have protection, you'll have your own bank account. You'll own your own real estate. All of this can be yours. All of this. And if you really do things correctly and follow my orders, I'll even take you with me to the players' picnic and to the upcoming players' ball. I want you to go home now and get sleep.
6. In this important point also, which is the issue of the salary or the money and property of the victim, I mean, I am very sure that if the victims had a quarter of these money and property, no one could open his mouth with something, and when I published any video here, there must be a game what it means. Who is the liar? The gang that claims that all its money and properties that she has, houses, shops and so on, are owned by the victim of choice, while the victim of choice says that he is poor and has no money or position. Here who is lying, is the gang or the victim? The answer is that the gang is the liar, but they also, as usual, invented an argument or trick in order to make the victim wrong. Of course, they have many justifications and lies, and all of them also say that they are paragraphs in the internal system of their filthy organization that made the victim appear as if she was working for them or with them. From these tricks, something like they give the victim the house or the place in which she lives, but this is not fulfilled by the legal methods known to us. I mean, for example, the house is assigned in a legal institution so that the victim knows this and also obtains a legal document proving that he owns a family's home, for example, or another house, or any place, real estate, farms, or cars, companies, etc., but it is something that resembles a lie. They are the ones who agree on it. Only the dirtiest game in this is that they say that the victim has to use force in order to take from this money that she has. Of course, this is just a lie, and I very much warn any victim not to believe this. Is something like I went to a restaurant, for example, to have a meal in it, and after that I got crazy and thought that this restaurant had become yours, and then you go to it again to have a meal and not pay money for the food, or you storm the restaurant.
We're actually hearing that awful sound that could be the source of some of those sonic attacks. CBS 4's Hank Tester is live in the newsroom with a listen. Hank.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to. That mystery of the who, what, and why of those so-called sonic attacks is far from being solved. But at least tonight, the
recordings don't appear to have significantly furthered the investigation. Even with the recordings being analyzed, the U.S. government still says it has been unable to determine what is causing the sound.
A number of those diplomats affected were treated here at the University of Miami. The U.S. has issued a travel warning for Cuba, citing the alleged sonic attack.
I feel completely threatened at this moment because of exposing the cowardly acts of domestic terrorism perpetrated by these gang stalkers who are actively, domestically terrorizing American citizens across the world. And no one really knows who's behind this evil crime, but it's a network of organized stalkers being paid to do so, and the victims being completely tortured and humiliated, and someone needs to put a stop to this.
7. and you take money from him, or you want to control the restaurant and fire workers from it, or hire new workers in it, or if you take money from it and the owner of the restaurant or manager goes and says to you to stop, then you will ignore this warning or hit him even, or think that if you stopped and did not take anything, then you will be a loser who does not know how to take his right, or you keep begging for people while you have money, shops, houses, companies, etc., and you are, because you are weak or afraid here. I want to repeat the warning that it is a trick that will make you go to prison. Or God gave it to him because he lived in it, or the gang started playing with him tricks and delusion and cut off the electricity, for example, or the generator of electricity, etc. How can he preserve his money? Or like a donkey that carries gold but eats thorns, so he will hit those in the house and acts as if he owns the house, but the result was that the owners of the house complained about him and he was imprisoned, meaning that would you mislead you when you enter another person's house and ask him to leave the house or take money from this house, meaning something like a bandit. Here is the trick of this gang. As if the victim fell silent, they say he is weak and he has money and property, and if he speaks and takes it by force, they will change the game and complain about him and become a thief, or he is made crazy. They also have another game of salary tricks, which is love, which is the dirtiest game. Have you ever heard of someone who is fond of love with terrorism? I mean, they say that the position that the victim has should be in love only. I mean, if the victim takes anything, that I mean enough money for him, or he will dispose of the property he is, this will spoil the love. Or there is another lie that resembles his filth and a lie of love, which is that he must act voluntarily and with terrorism, and he does not take any benefit for him, and if he takes something, he will violate the laws. They also have another lie, which is that they say that the victim knows the unseen while she knows that she has money, property, houses, and shops, or that wherever she goes, the place becomes for her, and this is a lie. They have another lie that says that the reason for not giving the victim money is the presence of the homosexual security agent, as he is the one who gives orders to the members of this gang not to give anything to the victim or not to obey any orders to her, and she must hit him in order to get money or to have her money and property at her disposal only as well. Just a lie. These are the gang members. Everyone has elements for this homosexual security agent, and they are the one who has money and property, and lie and say that they are the victim's guards, or all of this the victim has here. If he is hurt, the victim is a fool and he is trying to hit this homosexual in order to free his money. He is also a fool. He will not get anything. There is a proverb that says the bankrupt in the caravan is trustworthy, or that no thief will come to him because he does not own anything, meaning, for example, the house of the victim's family.
That this was what happens in the human brain when anytime abuse occurs. And when abuse occurs, where the brain begins to section off the abuse so the rest of the mind can function normally, there becomes less and less conscious mind to be able to think through exactly what is happening. They were very much interested in this because if the traumas are repeated enough and there's enough compartmentalization created in the brain, then the subconscious mind is left wide open to being manipulated and easily led. That was what they wanted for mass mind control.
For legislating me out of the right to protect myself and my family. I would much rather be sitting in jail with a felony offense on my head and have my parents alive. As far as these so-called assault weapons, you say that they don't have any defense use. You tell that to the guy that I saw on a videotape of the LA riots, standing up on his rooftop, protecting his property and his life from an entire mob with one of these so-called assault weapons. Tell me that he didn't have a legitimate self-defense use. Just one final statement. I've been sitting here getting more and more fed up with all of this talk about these pieces of machinery having no legitimate sporting purpose, no legitimate hunting purpose. People, that is not the point of the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment is not about duck hunting. And I know I'm not going to make very many friends saying this, but it's about our right, all of our rights, to be able to protect ourselves from all of you guys up there.
9. The house has no permission. How can anyone come and claim that he stole it from him or he took it from him? This is the same thing in any shop, restaurant, or place he entered, meaning the victim had nothing real in his possession to be stolen from him, but only illusions, meaning if the victim owned a farm in his name only and his children, he also has a document with it himself. He who disposes of it changes its laws whenever he wants and takes money from it whenever he wants and any amount he also wants. The farm was stolen from him. The victim could be considered a failed and unqualified person. Here they notice that the gang is trying to keep the victims away from the realm of realism and bring him to the world of illusion while playing with God's card or making itself the voice of God in something like they made themselves something close to him or own everything. Hear all these tricks and there are all others so that they do not say how much the salary is. They lie and say that the victim works for them or with them, and this is a lie that the victim is a slavery victim who was only caught and she is stuck in a spider web while she is trying to rid herself only of a problem that occurred with it, perhaps because of its stupidity. Or there is a competitor for her for a position that she also has. The victim does not have half in the gang, nor money, nor any followers at all. Also, the victim is not responsible for his family's house at all in order to change it, so there is no person who changes a shoe he did not wear at all also does not work. 10. In order to go looking for a scoundrel like the Menace gang, working the same laws in order to work for them instead of the filth of his family's house. Noticing the model or branch in Iraq is the biggest mistake because this group that was adopted and also their leaders are terrorism. To an enemy or the enemy became the one who leads it here. Whoever took over the Iraq branch is a dirty terrorist and this made half of the branch a terrorist group and the other half a group of liars and a trap. He is the leadership of this organization. I mean, by whatever reason, credit has been given to a terrorist demon in Iraq, which is an enemy of America, the countries of Europe, and their friends. How did this happen?
Skynet. Where's the system core? Somewhere in this building?
Skynet. The virus is infected. Skynet.
Skynet is the virus. It's the reason everything's falling apart. Skynet. Where's the system core? Somewhere in this building?
Skynet. The virus is infected. Skynet.
Skynet is the virus. It's the reason everything's falling apart.
The professor's discovery is premature. The scientific world of today is not ready for this breakthrough. Secret will fall into the wrong hands. The warlords of tomorrow will use radio telepathy for evil purposes.
I see. And,
The professor's discovery is premature. The scientific world of today is not ready for this breakthrough. Secret will fall into the wrong hands. The warlords of tomorrow will use radio telepathy for evil purposes.
I see. And,